Hey, what's up, my comic book peeps? It's your boy J Rock. Today I'm gonna be hitting you with another comic book review, but this time, this is something I read in physical format. So I have the omnibus here. So we'll do a review and a slash overview of the physical quality and so forth for the book, special features. After that, we'll get into the whole story arc as I flip through the pages. That will be spoiler territory. I'll let you know when we get there. And then if you don't want to see that part, you can just skip to the end to the final thoughts. Alright, so that sounds good to you guys. Let's get ready for this ride then. You can obviously tell right here what we're gonna be reviewing is the All New Guardians of the Galaxy by writer Gerry Duggan and artist Kuder. This is Kuder's art style. It has a very animated feel to it, very energetic, bright colors, it looks fun. But at the same time, it has a comic book vibe to it too, which I like. It has a good balance of both things going on. Fluorescent colors here, like a pinkish and a light blue. It was very popular back in the day, late 80s, early 90s. Here's the spine. It says Omnibus right here. It says Omnibus, but it's only about 450 pages or so. So it's just more like a thick hardcover. I'm digging the spine though. This, you see this creature here with the claws. When I first saw it, I was like, it looks like some type of creature, but it turns out it's like that guy Darkhawk. They're called Raptors in this. They come out. They're our main villains on this story arc. Here's the content that will be inside. Just zoom it in if you want to know what's in there. If not, in the description down below, I'm gonna be putting what content is in here. So go ahead and click on there. Creators and so forth. Got Rocket Raccoon with the lame ass Noble Corpse costume. I've never been a fan of the Noble Corpse. I found them very uninteresting. And here's all this other stuff you could read. I haven't actually got around to reading this right here. Nothing important right here. Okay, so this is the dust jacket. Here's the book itself. I'm digging the art. So here's the artwork on the book itself. I think that looks pretty sick. It's Star-Lord just flying around. Star-Lord here would be Peter Quill. It's the only Star-Lord I'm really familiar with. I love them in the movies, love them in the comics. This movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Part 1, is actually what got me into wanting to pick up comic books and collect them. And then that sent me into finding out about these hardcovers, and I started buying all this. So yeah, this is the cover of it. Let's check the binding a little. Okay, so here's the inner covers. It's like a bright yellow color, which I'm digging because to me, yellow's like a very bright, fun, energetic type of color, much like the artwork on the dust jacket. So it seems to be the theme or tone, if you will, of what this series is gonna be. Here we get the some info. Here you get the table of contents. It's written by Gerry Duggan. Then you have what issues, what artists worked on what issues. Get a lot of different artists and colors on this. Now, I'm not a fan of the way this was laid out because usually I'll say like issue one starts on page so and so, issue two starts on this page. You know, like the actual Marvel omnibuses. Even though this is called an omnibus, it's very much like a oversized hardcover. It's not really like an omni. So I don't like the way they did this. It seemed like it was half-assed. But oh well, it is what it is. Now, let's show you the covers. These are the covers are gonna look. This is important, at least to me, and I know to a lot of people too. Because in some books you don't get the cover. In today's day and age, I feel all books that are trades, paperbacks, hardcovers should have the covers to show you when one issue ends, when the next starts. I don't see no reason why they shouldn't do that. So here you get the cover. Down here you get, see, it's Free Comic Book Day 2017, All New Guardians of the Galaxy, issue 1. You get the what issue it is. Here you don't get the title here or the number of the issue. It's kind of like a virgin cover, which it's fine. I'm cool with that. I would kind of like if it had that title and all that, but we still get that info down here, so it's all gravy. And look at that art. Obviously, you know, this is meant to be fun, wacky, just by looking at that art style and what's going down right there. I love the way this guy, what's his name, Kuder? Love the way he draws Rocket Raccoon. Love it. A lot of times I dislike the way he's drawn, but here this probably he draws my favorite Rocket Raccoon, I have to say. Okay, here we see the pages, how they lay. They lay pretty flat. They're pretty good. It's sewn binding. You don't get that little eye hole right there because, but it's not a thick book, so you don't really need it to do all that. The pages are just the right. They're not too thin and they're not too thick. Because if they're too thick, they'll close on you like that. These are just thin enough where they still lay down on their own. As Marvel usually does a great job with the page quality and the binding and so forth, with very few exceptions, in my opinion. I've only bought the Ninja Turtle hardcovers as far as IDW, and they're also very well made, have to say. So yeah, it seems like these hardcovers, these collected editions, they're here to stay. It's not necessarily the new thing, but more and more people are jumping on board. So I'm happy to see that. That way we get more of them. Okay, now let's get to the bonus material at the end. Bonus material at the end, you get a few like variant covers. Nirvana, we've been seeing this a lot. Great album, great album. Classic. This one's pretty cool. This is by let's see who this guy is. The Mundo. I'm digging that one. Here we get some sketches how to draw Groot. This is probably my favorite cover of this. I think I like this cover more than the original Infinity Gauntlet one. Digging it, digging it. Who draws this one? Scott Koblish and Ron Lim. Nice, nice. This one's nice too. Okay, so you get some of these variant. Oh, look at this one. This is the OG Drax from back in the day. I'm not too familiar with when he used to be this way. I haven't read any of those books, but I like that costume. Got Rocket. Rocket looks sick here. This got to be a Kuder, right? Yeah, Aaron Kuder. This is the guy that does the majority of the issues here. Look at Gamora's old school costume and Groot's. I like this guy's art. I became a fan reading this. I was highly enjoying his art. He does about half the issues and half are done by different people. Then it has these like sketches. And they're like concept art and whatnot. They're okay, but all in all, the extras are nothing. Not. I love the way that looks too, like Gamora. The extras weren't anything incredible or anything. Okay, now we're gonna get into spoiler territory. I'm gonna flip through the pages, talk about the story a little bit, and like we always do at the end, I'll give my final thoughts and so forth. All right, so here you see this book starts off with our local heroes right here, getting a shootout with the Noble Corps. Noble Corps is like the space police, basically. So they're playing cops and robbers here. The Guardians of the Galaxy are Marvel's kind of like their space pirates. Their team of well, you've seen the movies. That's basically what they are, exactly like the movie. Here you see them fighting off these guys, and Drax just doesn't want to help. So this is interesting. Drax is like, I'm a pacifist. I don't believe in violence. Now his name is Drax the Destroyer. So it's funny coming from him to help, right? Look at this art. I'm digging this art. It's very energetic. It's once you start reading the book, it's great at storytelling and it's a lot of fun with this type of art. Look at Rocket Raccoon. He just looks sick. I always kind of hate the way they draw him, and here I was really impressed. I was like, man, they found a way to make him look cool. Here you see all the characters. It's a lot of fun right here. Okay, here you get a two-page spread. So look, you could put this a little bit here like that, and you don't get much. You don't get much gutter loss. Great page right here. You got your heroes here, and look at you get the city. Get an idea how the city looks. Very busy, very busy. All the buildings, and then far, far away over here, you got Galactus about to land. Now, okay, Galactus just looks badass right here too, like the colors and everything. It turns out this is I think they use it as some type of spaceship because they just pulled the heist and they gotta run back into this robot or whatever to get away. Digging it, digging it. Here they go. Look, this reminds me a lot of the movie Part One when they're fighting over that orb in the beginning. And look, I see the Galactus. They're about to run into this part of the city. There's Galactus. They're about to run inside it to make their getaway. Man, look at this splash page right here. Some type of giant fish in space. Got the Guardian spaceship there. They're flying inside this fish right here, you see? Look at the use of lighting and contrast here. This looks awesome. So we're going into this fish here, some type of hideout for this guy, the Grandmaster. He's somehow related to the Collector. So him and the Collector are at odds at the moment. They're kind of not getting along. So this guy's fighting with the Guardians, but he's also talking to him about they could work out some type of deal about because they stole something of his, and he's like, maybe if I send you to steal something else I want, he won't punish them, I guess. And I like that they include this. It reminds me of Arrow when they constantly show them training, and you used to see them on Twitter. I used to follow them. They constantly posted stuff. Those guys lived at the gym. The men and women of the Arrow show. Okay, Gamora working out right here. She's known as the deadliest woman, and Draxler Destroyer. So they make just by based on their names, you don't think they'd be like a comedic book, right? So they work out a deal with the Grandmaster. They have to go steal something from the Collector. Here you see them just chopping it up, drinking and whatnot, deciding how are we gonna break into the Collectors. Raccoon's letting them know like this shit is a suicide mission. If we get in there, we ain't getting out because the Collector's a very powerful being in the cosmic universe. We have these guys talking about, oh, the Collector has so much useless junk. Why does he collect all this stuff? He has this animal from some other planet. So they decide, you know what? They're gonna do a whole Trojan horse scenario. They're gonna go inside this animal, and then when they deliver it to the Collector, they're gonna pop out on them, right? So bam, there it is. You're seeing the plan take form. Man, these guys look like they're having trouble breathing. Look like this guy's about to throw up right now. Shit. It's all bad right there with them. So check this out. Oh shit. We got the golden A. That's what they're looking for. They're looking to take this from the Collector. It's a golden monarch egg. It has some type of importance to it. I forgot what it was. Look, some more animals. I think the Collector collects endangered species from each planet that are dying out. So Drax is taking the egg right here on the next page. And these guys show up. They have some type of telekinetic power. Look at what they're making Star-Lord and Rocket Raccoon. They're hallucinating basically. Look at that. Man, this shit looks crazy. Look, Star-Lord's memorizing when the planet blew up. They're giving people like their worst fears, I guess. And look at here, this is genius what happens here. They try to do that to Drax. And he says, you want to go inside my mind? You won't like what you see in it. And look at them. This shit was funny. They're like they're gonzos. And Drax is telling him like, what were you thinking of that made them run away? That shit was funny. And bam, here we go, the Collector. Got him, son. Got him. Got him stealing. All right, so here goes issue 3. Obviously you could tell here it's a different artist, completely different feel and tone to the book here. Now, to me, reading them in trades, I read them and I had to reread it in the omnibus because the trades are a mess. Volume 1 gives you issues 1, 3, 5, gives you all the odd numbers, and Volume 2 gives you issue 2, 4, 6, all the even numbers. That made no sense to me. I don't know why Marvel took that route. I don't know what the logic behind it was, because a lot of things didn't make no sense to me, and then they were explained on Volume 2. Here, however, they're all in order. Issue 1, 2, 3, 4 makes for a much better read. Cough up those extra bucks and go this route if you're planning to read this. If you don't already have it, don't get the trade paperbacks in this particular occasion because it's a mess. So now another thing I want to talk about was this has a lot of different artists. It's always one issue with the main artist, Kuder, one issue with someone else, one issue with Kuder, one issue with someone else. Some people like that. They like variety and so forth. Some people don't because it throws them off. It disrupts the tone of the book, the feel they had going. Now, to me, it didn't ruin the story for me, but it totally put me in a different mindset when I got this art. Look at this. It's very dark, very gritty. Look at Gamora there. The main artist is very fun and wacky, and this is a lot more serious. Look at it. It's very dark tone to this. The art itself is good, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it's completely different than what we had in the previous issue. Look at this where they're at. It's like a desert. It almost feels like something out of Jack Kirby's Fourth World. What is it, that place where Darkseid comes from? I forget. I don't follow DC a lot. He comes from like this very dark planet with volcanoes blowing up everywhere. This is how this looks. Now here's Gamora following this. This older woman is guiding her somewhere. So she's having some type of premonition here. This isn't the real world. Now it turns out that older lady, it's Gamora. Look when she unmasked. I was like, oh shit. Beautiful page right here. Big reveal. I was like, holy crap. Now she's kind of telling her about what happens in the future, I guess, and she wants to let Gamora know so she kind of has a way to maybe avoid it or change something in the current time. But yeah, totally different tone, like I said. Then we get back to the main artist again, and look at that. Look at this, and they only use a few colors too, like 6 colors. And then bam, back to this, like very energetic, cartoony anime. So the collector's talking to them now about he has a bone to pick with them. You know, they're stealing from him. Check it out right here. Rocket Raccoon's like, let's just kill this bastard, right? Because he looks like a human or whatever. They're like, you can't kill him. He's a cosmic beam. Boom. Domes him. Says, what do you mean you can't kill him? I just did. They go, you can't kill a cosmic beam. He goes, look at him. I just did. He disappears. And he appears behind them. Right, he's right there, right behind them. And then he says, oh, you mean you can't kill them? Now I get it. This is a very Arnold 80s action movie right here. The big ba-boom. Everybody running away from the explosion. So as all this goes down, Gamora's fighting with the collector. And she tells him something here about having the soul stone, the soul gem, and the collector stays quiet like, huh. Then he starts laughing and he's like, damn, Gamora, you made me be scared for a second. Nobody's made me feel that way in a long time. So he's laughing and he tells her, I know you don't have it, but for like 1 second, I thought you probably did. So I'll tell you what, you bring me that soul stone and we forget about this whole fiasco you were trying to steal from me, right? You see him here chopping it up, talking about this over a cup of tea. Very classy of them. So that's where we're at right now. They keep the egg, but he's gonna give them a fake golden egg. He says, send this back to the Grandmaster. Now that they told him the whole rundown, they send this back to him, make him think you accomplished your mission. Now here you got this guy, he's from the Nova Corps. You know, they explore other planets. They think like Star Trek. He's doing the whole captain's log thing, taking info and recording himself. You see all these trees everywhere? It turns out in this planet, they're sentient beings. You know, they're like the same species as Groot. At this moment, he does not know that, though. He thinks they're just trees. It has a very eerie feel to this art. Even though it's like a cartoony art, it's still the same main artist. You feel scared for the guy. You're like, ah, shit. Like, when you see all these trees come after him, you know they're not good like Groot is. They're bad. And look at him. It's a wrap for him. It's over. You could tell right here. He's done for and he's leaving. He's recording. So he's telling people, do not come here. You find this recording. Do not come here. There's these trees, right? And I believe Groot in the olden days, he was in this horror book, so he was bad himself, right? So this is his species. So it's kind of cool. We touch a little bit. It looks like we're gonna touch a little bit more on where he comes from and his planet and so forth going forward. Look at that, the helmet there. That says it all. That's important because going forward, skipping a few pages and whatnot, you see one of these guys. They're called Raptors. It's the Darkhawk costume. He's over here in this ship, and the Guardians of the Galaxy are going to the same ship. So they bump heads and they're fighting. They don't know why this Raptor is there. He was looking for this dead body, which I think was one of those Nova Corps guys. Now it turns out this Nova Corp guy had these things called Negan bands. So they're fighting him. They don't know why, like what's going on, why he wants that body. Turns out that body had a Negan band on him, so he just wanted to steal the jewelry basically from the corpse. All right, so after the scuffle, the Darkhawk guy he gets away with the corpse, and it had the Negan band, right? But one of the hands it broke during the scuffle, fell here with our heroes, with the Guardians, and that had the other Negan band. So once they look at it, they're like, that's what he was after, these things. Now, Rocket's kind of confused, like, what's so important about that, right? Gamora lets them know these are important, they give you powers, right? So they're like, we have one half, the Darkhawk guy has the other half. So they're like, why do they want the two, why do they want the two Negan bands? Why do they want that power? They got something sinister, right, going on. There's another Darkhawk guy that died right there. Now look at Rocket. Man, that was sick to his stomach. Getting some diarrhea up in here. Actually, it turns out one of these Darkhawk guys, when they cut them, their claws are they had poison on the tips of their claws. So for these occasions, so when they fight, they poison the person they get. Now we now we get the the people from the Groot species. Yo, I forget. I've been so used to seeing Groot be little that I forget Groot species. They're actually huge. So here's one that's a regular full size, and it ain't looking like nothing nice. Nothing nice, my people. That issue ends there. That's a killer ending right here. Look at the other Groots. They look very much like Mars attacks. Remember the little Martians? Now, this issue is very important because it explains why Drax is now no longer a destroyer and now he's Drax the pacifist. Here he's meditating. So that's he's trying to be at peace and whatnot. Gamora's talking to him a little like, what happened? Why are you like this? She's also meditating with him and so forth. But they're a lot alike because they're both like killing machines. And Drax starts opening up a little bit about why he has to be a pacifist. Look, he's destroying some guy, just crushing his skull with one. Look, separated his neck from his body with his left hand too. He's right-handed with his weak hand. Look at all these people he killed. All these like from this in this other planet. Now this story is important. Why? Cause when he was killing these guys, he was doing it to save these guys. These guys were enslaving this species. And Drax was letting them know that shit ain't cool, we gotta knock that off. So I'm gonna let you free these people, and if you don't, it's on and popping. So they're like, we're not gonna free them and so forth. He's like, all right, then we're gonna go at it. And they're telling him, no, no, don't fight with them. He's like, no, I'm helping you. I'm gonna help you guys be free. He's happy right here, thinking like, I look. He chopped off the last guy's head. He's like, don't worry, guys. I saved the day like always. I'm the man, homie. Then it turns out he's not the man because in beating these guys, he made it worse for the slaves. Because you see this wristband he had here? That wristband was tied to, if his pulse or whatever goes out, that's it. They die. It releases some type of poison to them. So they were like, don't kill them, don't kill them. If they die, we die. But he was just hard headed, trying to show up, be the hero. He made it worse for them because now look, they all this disease spread to that whole species. Look at all of them. They're obviously in agony. Look at this art. This artist is good too. It's a very scratchy art. almost gives off this old school vibe with these colors. They give off an old school vibe to me. Like almost like if it wasn't digital, like if it was some type of newspaper. But yeah, once they all die, look, they're telling him, Drax, you destroyed us. And he said, that's the last word I heard from this species was destroyed. So I no longer want to be Drax the Destroyer. You see him here, he's like, I fucked up and I put all these people in a bad position. So he decided never to lift his sword again and never to kill again. Because he doesn't mind killing if it's warranted. And he felt he killed these people that didn't deserve it. Although it was an accident, he still it was still his fault. The next issue we get back to the Guardians, right? Star-Lord went back while Gamora and Drax were chopping it up on the ship. Star-Lord had gone back to look for this guy, the Darkhawk guy, right? The Raptor. Because that guy poisoned Rocket Raccoon. So he just beats the shit out of this guy, takes the other Negan band, because that guy had one, he had one. So now, once he had both, he easily disposed of this guy, basically. He's dragging him along. I love this panel, the long hallway and everything. So it gives off this feel that it's a long walk. It's like he's dragging him down a long hallways, Brings him all the way over here, and this guy tells him, I'll give you the antidote, but I want the Negan bands. Even though Star-Lord already won this battle, he agreed. Give me the antidote, I'll give you the bands. He gives him the antidote, he gives him one band. The second band he throws through this portal, tells him, go get the second one. And the guy does. He jumps through the portal to get the band. So now we're going to cure Rocket Raccoon. And we find out about this other planet where there's a bunch of Ultrons. It's not that important to the story, I guess. But I guess something's happening in one of the Avengers books. He comes back right on time to save Rocket Raccoon so he don't die. I'm gonna cut this into two parts. I decided to stop right here in the middle of the book. I just read right now that was the ending of issue 8. So it's the first 8 issues plus the free comic book day issue. So that's technically 9 issues, and this book contains 18 issues. So we're right on the halfway point. I'll do a second video for the second half. So let's just talk a little bit about what just happened and what we think about it. I just read it with you guys. Let me know in the comment sections what you thought about what you just read there in case you haven't read it before. And I'm going to let you know what I thought. I'm not too familiar with the cosmic universe in Marvel. My extent goes as far. I know about the Guardians movies, and I know about the Guardians I've read from Bendis going forward, right? So that's all I know really about I've maybe read an odd issue here and there as a kid about space stuff in the Marvel universe, but not too much. So these Negan bands, those are new to me. I was not aware of these. I didn't know what they were. And it turns out these Raptors, there are these, it's like an army or like a group that's wearing this, the armor that Darkhawk wore. Darkhawk was this character I knew about back in the 90s as a kid. I remember him. I always thought it was just one character. So it turns out it was the armor, right? So it's a whole group. It's a group. It's not just one character. Same for Nova. As a kid, I thought Nova was one character. Now here it's been established as a Nova Corps. There's a lot of people that wear that uniform. It's they're kind of like the space police. And I thought the Raptors, they're kind of also like space police or CIA or whatever, but they kind of come off as the villain here. Because one of them wants these Negan bands and they hold a lot of power. And when somebody's chasing after a lot of power, it's rarely for anything good. It's usually for something bad. Like they're trying to do some shady shit with it, right? So that makes me think they're the villains here. They're not to be trusted. We haven't explained what it is they want with these Negan bands. We haven't got to that. Well, I guess they're going to explain that in the second half of the book. And Nova Corps, it seems like they've been dismantled or something. I will have to go back and read previous stuff. Because here it seems like they're barely trying to reestablish themselves. They're barely rebuilding, right? The Guardians always been like a wacky team. They're kind of like a bunch of random characters they just put together. They're very all over the place. They don't even have a leader. It's kind of like Star-Lord sometimes. Sometimes it's Rocket. Like it goes back and forth. They're uncoordinated, which is what I like about them. That makes them fun, makes them a little different. And even the Noble Corps, even the Guardians were too much for them. So I was like, oh man, like this team's kind of weak. And then these Raptors, they were too much for them. So they seem very like outgunned all the time. Now let's talk about Draxler Destroyer a little. His name is the Destroyer. So when this book started, he was talking about I don't believe in violence. I'm a pacifist. I was like, what the fuck? Like that's completely the opposite of what he is. He's Drax the Destroyer. It's in his title. It's in his name, right? So that was an interesting twist. I was like, something went down here, and I'm glad they explained it in this book, not in a previous book I gotta go back to. So it's explained here what went down, how he accidentally killed this a bunch of people from this alien race, and how he was like, oh, that made him want to stop being violent, because he didn't want to kill them. It was an accident. So he has like this warrior code where he doesn't fight or kill someone lesser than him, because that's kind of like being a bully, right? A warrior would fight his equal or somebody better, right? Someone at their best. So that made him retire from the superhero game, kind of. But yet, he's still rolling with the Guardians. So it's like, what the fuck? Even Gamora's like telling him, if you want to stop being violent and fighting, why you rolling with us, dog? Like, you know we always getting into shit. You know you're going to have to jump in and help. So if you're trying to avoid violence, rolling with us is not the way to go. And Drax says some funny shit here. He goes, oh, I roll with you guys because I have to redeem myself in order to be back to being a destroyer. He says, and rolling with you guys, I have faith that you guys will screw up so bad. I have to save all your asses. And that's when I redeem myself. And that's when it warrants me being a destroyer again. And I was like, oh shit. It's like he's counting on them to just fuck up, right? And that's so Guardians, because that's the type of shit they will do. That was funny. That was a great line. Let's talk about the art a little bit now. You have so many artists on this. It keeps going back and forth. One issue with the main artist, Kuder, then someone else, then Kuder again, then someone else. And every artist brings a different style, different tone, which to me I thought was genius. I thought it was well done. I like what they were going for here, because it's like in a movie. Every scene is different, right? So not every scene's gonna have the same style of music and so forth. Some scenes are serious, some are comedic, some's action, right? So the fact that you have here in comics, obviously you don't have audio. So the actors can deliver a line a certain way and you don't have no music in the background. Those are two things that set the tone. So in comics, you have to rely on the colorist and the artist. It's not so much the writing to set a tone. Now this art here, when they change to different artists, I think every artist brings something different to the table, and they bring a different tone, which is great. Like there's an issue here with Star-Lord, and he's talking about his past. It's very comedic, very cartoony style. So they give this cartoony style to set the tone that it's like a comedic issue, right? Then you got one with Gamora. It's very dark, gritty, kind of like eerie story. And the art tells you that. Even the colors, it has very few colors. It comes off very serious. And I like that because it's setting a different tone. When I read one issue from the next, I'm like, wow, it put me in a completely different mood and state of mind. And I was like, that's what, because it's a different art, right? And I'm like, that's what it was meant to do. Because this next scene or this next story on this issue is meant to give you a different feel. And the art just did a great job of that. So kudos not only to the artist, but to the editorial and whoever made those decisions, because they made a great job of putting certain artists on certain parts of the book to just give you this feel, take you in and out of different vibes. You know what I mean? So that was crazy. It felt almost like how you would feel in a movie. One scene you're cracking up, the next scene you're quiet, just focused, like what's gonna happen, right? So that was awesome. That was awesome. So here what we should expect is, obviously it's leading up to a fight or whatever between the Grandmaster and the Collector. That's going down, and we're gonna get some eventually a scene where Drax is gonna go back to being a destroyer. So we'll see if this happens in the second half of the book and whatnot. So far I'm really enjoying it. I like what it's doing here. It keeps true to the tone of what the movie is. Now to me, I've read Guardians from the Bendis run going forward. So basically from when the movie came out going forward, and the movie has the same tone as these comics. Maybe eventually I'll go back to reading the stuff before the movie came out and before Bendis wrote it. I hear it has a completely different style and feel to the stories. And once the movie came out, you know, the writer, they changed the team in the comics to fit the team in the movies, right? So I'll say I might go back to some of that stuff. You know, that's with comics. You start somewhere, then you either go forward, and if you feel like it, you can go backwards to see what happened before, right? All in all, I've been enjoying it so far. You know, hopefully you hit that like button if you like this video, and I'll be reading the second half and dropping a video on that. Also, you know what? Let me know if you guys like it better because when I have the physical copy, I kind of like to flip to the pages on the camera. Let me know if you like that better, or if you like me to just show a digital shot of the pictures on the screen, or if you like the me actually recording the book itself, the flipping through the pages. What works better for you guys? Other than that, just stay tuned for the second half of this, and I'll check you guys out next time.